Welcome, everybody, to the Misfortunate Podcast, Episode 8. Today we're going to be talking about... Oh, before I get ahead of myself, let me introduce my co-host this evening. I have the lovely Jabe Black with me.
Hello.
I've got the greatest FC leader ever, Popo.
Oh my god, what an introduction.
I'm also joined by the man, the Keyblade wielder himself, Sora Bell.
My friends are my power.
Oh.
Gosh.
And the melee with a tude, Jin Woo.
Oh yeah, how's it going?
He's been bitching about Monk all week, but
Oh yeah.
Well, we are going to be getting to that. So today, so it's been a bit. We had the media tour, and the internet's been abuzz with talk about job actions and such. But we're not going to talk about the job changes. We're going to talk about people reacting and talking about the job changes. How does that sound, friends?
Interesting take, I guess. Original angle?
I'm honestly more excited about this than the actual job. Yeah, okay, I'm game.
There's
You said we were gonna talk about this?
It's been there's been a lot of drama. It's been pretty interesting. So
My job isn't the best. Continue.
But yeah, no problem. Jabe's gonna open up and talk about his thoughts, and then we can just go through and talk about. I've pilfered some comments from different YouTubers. We're gonna be anonymous about it. We're a little toxic, but we're not gonna dox anybody.
Oh, shit.
So, and by the way,
Work the game sucks.
okay,
Dadgummit.
I'm kidding.
too late. We're banned.
Sorta. I'm kidding. Maybe.
If you do happen to be watching the stream and we do read your comment. If you would like to join us, just send me a DM. I'll give you that information, and we'll get started.
Smash that like button, by the way.
Yo, bros,
Smash.
like,
Gotta get
comment,
rid of some
subscribe.
views somehow. Come on.
I think it's Jabe's turn.
All right, Jabe.
So, all right. Well, I don't have like specific comments. Well, I mean, I did comment on one of the videos that Work the Game put out about what do they call it? Casual bringers? Is that what is that what they're calling it? Shadow casuals.
Yeah.
I think I'll touch on that briefly. Like, I just talked about how I don't think the tanks are being made more casual, like that particular thing. And there is quite a few people who agreed with me. Like, even before I posted it, there was people saying, this is actually not a big deal because it's pretty much the same as it's always been. You know, like. In Stormblood, we had quality of life with the party enmity tools, and because of the party enmity tools, basically, threat management became a breeze. Like, if everybody was using them correctly, and so it wasn't much of a deal. And so, I think the devs have just noticed that tanks don't really need to, like, the enmity part of the tank role has become so trivial that we might as well just throw it up there and say, all right, now we're going to move into a new phase. Since you guys want a DPS, we're going to give you some interesting rotations to use instead of worrying about the rest of the party using their enmity tools. You don't have to worry about that anymore. We're just going to give it to you, and you guys can focus on the fight, focus on your personal mitigation, focus on your party mitigation, and focus on your rotation, and, you know, picking up ads, tank swapping, and all that stuff. So I think that's what tanking is going to be in Shadowbringers, and I think the fight design is going to reflect that, and I think it's going to be more interesting than having to worry about people using their party tools, because you get into a duty finder, right? Or even if you get into a PF, you know, doing some savage runs with people, they just, you know, it's always a toss-up whether they're going to use their enmity tools, and so now you don't even have to worry about it. Now you can just have fun tanking. So that was my reaction to like people saying that the tanks are being made more casual, or they're being made more easy, and I just don't think it's true. So, but another thing that I noticed is that people are really whining about the healers changes, and honestly, guys, like in my opinion, I just think you need to wait and see what the fights are going to be like. So they want to make healers more healing intensive, I think, and it's not like they're going to leave you out there to dry. And I think they're going to make it to where healers are going to be focusing a lot on their rotations, on their healing rotations more specifically, rather than DPS rotations, since they kind of all have the same DPS rotation now, right? Is that that's what it is?
Everybody's got a
Yep.
dot and a you know
A nuke.
yeah.
Is that a rotation?
Not really, no.
Not really a rotation. It's just
Yeah.
you throw a dot and you spam your DPS move. But at the same time, there is, like, for tanks, right? There's a CD rotation, right? So for healers, there's going to be like a healing rotation. That's how I see it coming out to be in Shadowbringers.
That's how I look at most fights, is that there's a healing rotation, and you work with your co-healer to figure out what that is, so you can maximize, you reward
Right.
yourself with DPS.
I agree with
Same.
that. However, there is one elephant difference between comparing cooldown rotations for tanks and healing rotations for healers, which also includes cooldown rotations. The difference is that as a tank, you're technically still just a DPS that can take hits. And so your rotation, your actual DPS rotation, what you're doing in between your cooldown rotation, is way more involved and intuitive than what healers got. Because unless you're taking damage 100% of the time to where you have to optimize your GCDs in such a way that that healing and DPSing at the same time become a trade-off, and you have to decide down to the GCD on where you want to do this and where you want to do that, you're mostly just going to be hitting like your cooldowns, maybe healing with 1 or 2 GCDs for a specific situation, and then spamming your dot and nuke until the end of the encounter. It's way less involved. And that's probably my main criticism of how they homogenize healers, is that their DPS rotation just they're far too samey.
Yeah. Well,
Agreed.
I can get that. At the same time, I'm kind of interested, like, the fight design that they plan to do with Shadowbringers, how they're gonna make it interesting for healers.
Very true. That's one aspect of it, which is why I'm not like kind of the sky is falling about the whole situation, because we just don't know.
Yeah, and so I think the community has kind of like, I don't know if you guys like saw that one Reddit post. There's like a white mage sitting and sipping some tea, and there's like an Astro and a Scholar like downing bags of
Chugging
salt.
down salt.
I don't even understand that one, because mathematically speaking, if you look at the 3 healers, Scholar's still way stronger than the other 2. Like, it's not even.
I think the problem with Scholar is it's that syndrome where, like, it's been so good for so long that it being adjusted, like, down like a level or 2 just looks more drastic from somebody on, like, you know what I mean, from that pedestal. It's like when you get knocked down a peg,
The
it
fall from
clearly
grace.
it clearly looks worse. Whereas
the
White
kneecap.
Mage, I mean, it might not have been like, I mean, it was never like a, I guess White Mage has always kind of been like the redheaded stepchild of like healing. So now that it doesn't look
I'd
as
consider
bad,
Astro to be the right-headed step shot. That's
Really?
the one where all the balancing issues came from.
Well, of course, and I still think that the identity of Astro is like really sketch. Hence why it's had like
It's-
3 different types of rework.
It's better now. Reading this
course.
rework, I think it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. Their kits are very similar, and they all have tools to handle certain situations. So it's a lot better.
Right.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Popo, are you a
There
healer,
was
man?
this one comment.
I am.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I just asked if he was a healer main.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Go ahead,
I
Jake.
read this one comment on that post, and yeah, I think the general vibe I got from it was what you were saying, Popo, was that because Scholar's been so good, I think the comment read something like, it's like Yoshi P's your parents, and you're the kid, and you have a sibling over here like complaining that you got all the good toys, and so what the parents do is they break all the toys, and so nobody has any good toys. That's what the comparison was, and I was like, dang, bro.
Pretty
I
close.
guess.
Not
I was,
really, because some of Scholar's kit was, this expansion is borderline. Like, it makes fights challenge like a lot less than it should be. Like crit low, it's random, but
Yep.
the fact of the matter is, it doesn't even matter that it's random, because you could also just like
Yeah.
fake covenant with a deploy ad low and you're not died.
At the end of the day, cheesy mechanics with bigger shields is just not going to be a thing anymore.
Right.
Which, to be fair, was something that needed to go. Granted, I don't even know if that's true, because they can now, while crit low is a thing of the past, you're not going to be able to deploy a crit out of Loquium for double its value in Shadowbringers like you can do now. It's being able to, they bumped Adload's base potency from like 300 to 350s. So, and they gave it the effect to tentatively they bumped
subject to change.
Subject to change. But even still, right? Unless it ends up being a nerf, which could also happen because Sucker got nerfed. The fact that they gave Astro the ability to force a crit every 90 seconds. I'm not Astro, Scholar the ability to force a crit on their heals every 90 seconds. That's powerful. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not things will change drastically. I just feel like the gap between White Mage, Scholar, and Astro just got closer together.
I agree with that, and I think
But
that
I don't
was their purpose.
Yeah, I don't think the dynamic between the three has changed at all.
Do you think the outcry though that has been coming out on like Reddit and in YouTube posts and stuff is warranted? I guess that's the real question.
I don't think so.
In what aspect the outrage of them reading the skills and they don't like the way the healing DPS rotation went, or they don't like the way the changes to Astro and Scholar? And I guess not really White Mage. I don't know if White Mages have been complaining so much about it, but Astro
Absolutely
and Scholar.
not.
Which aspect are you're hinting at?
I mean, either or, like, because we're trying to talk about reactions, right? Like, how do you feel these reactions?
To the Astros and Scholars that are upset about their them not being as good as they are now, the whole change to the balance. The thing about the card system specifically and how it's a lot simpler now is I don't really think it was that complicated beforehand. You had more options, but in most cases, right, the balance, the arrow, and the spear did basically the exact same thing. They were used to spread DPS. If you drew if you drew any of the cards except the balance, and you had nothing in your held, and redraw was up, you just redrew for the balance. So it's like you're really just fishing for the balance. It was nice that you had the chance to have the bowl and the Ewer, and there was some utility involved in that. But again, I don't think situations is valid enough to warrant returning Astro to the way it was. You can't You can't say that Astro at least had these niche situations where these skills were really good, and now that they're gone, we can only just keep giving the balance, because that's essentially what happened, right? Everyone only wanted the balance, and then they just got a bunch of balances, even though they're nowhere near as effective as they used to be. But they're still the best card, and it's the card people were going to play anyway if they stayed the same. So
I mean, what do you say? What do you say to the guy in the comments section who, like, because I read this, that they're like, they didn't really raid very much, but when they were in Dungeons and 24 mans, they were using every single card and trying to use the card to get the best effect out of them and stuff like that, you know?
I mean, to those people, like, I respect the idea of the versatility. Like, I Astra as my main, I totally get it, but you just have to be honest with yourself that in the higher bracket of things, it was never like that.
Exactly.
Like, it just was never anything other than balance. And like, while I personally hate the fact that, like, you know, the damage can't be spread, like, I'm bugged that it's as simplified as it is. I understand that it's like a trade-off of actual raid power versus consistency with divination.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and it's going to be lower, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be low. It's just lower than it was before.
Pretty much.
Like, balance was nutty. We can all agree, and I don't think anybody who's in their right mind felt that it deserved to stay the same. It needed to be nerfed. It cannot be disputed. It was far too strong. And I think the way they went about it, I don't dislike it. I don't like certain changes to Astro's kits, specifically revolving around their ability to extend anything in general, really. Time dilation and celestial opposition, having the ability to extend your collective region, any of your regions, your earthly star to do some creative star timing, things like that. I just loved because it added an extra layer of optimization, and you could see extra uses of earthly star in a fight, all because you knew how to time that celestial opposition and extend it so that you could shave an extra 10 seconds off and still get the heal where you want it. It was just so well thought out. And to see it go.
Yeah, I'll miss the time stuff.
I don't know. And that's what I think is the bigger tragedy. The card changes, I mean, we were only going to fish for the balance anyway, so what does it matter? Like you said before, we could all sit there and say, oh, the Ewer was perfect in this niche situation. Like, yeah, it was, but that's not how we played it practically. We weren't practically fishing for Ewers. We were fishing for the balance. If we wanted a Ewer, it was to spread the balance.
I mean, if you think about it, the whole waiting for either flow, waiting for cards thing has just been removed out the window, and you just make a fucking 10-second pull.
Yeah, I'm embracing all the changes. Like, it keeps it fresh. It keeps the game different, and you know, it's not, you know, change it up a little bit. You know, let's get out of our comfort zones a little bit and kind of try to see what the devs are trying to do with it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Like, I'm just like, all right, calm down, guys. Game's not even out yet. They were playing on a build that was a month old.
Reading tooltips that are probably
when we
wrong.
got the information, yeah, and
remember Flamethrower deals consistent potency of 6 for 10 seconds. Ooh. 6, not 60, not 600, 6.
Yeah. So,
come on.
In my opinion, like, I just think there's just been kind of an overreaction, almost like there was with White Mage pre-Stormblood.
Yep.
And I'm
not
just
as,
like,
not as bad though. I don't think it's as nearly as bad as that was.
Yeah. I honestly think the healer changes are even more radical than the tank changes, so I don't know.
My main problem,
play out.
If we're talking about the tank changes, is my main problem with it is that some of their skills, their cooldown timings, and I know this is all tentative, and I'm praying it is, but I think they hovered over Super Boldy, so we knew what it was from the live letter.
Oh yeah.
Why is that just a strict worse version of Hallowed Ground that has the same cooldown?
Does it matter? All right, so Yoshi P answered this in an interview.
It matters a
Yeah.
lot because it's a strict worse version of Hallowed Ground, but it has the same exact cooldown of it. That's a huge difference.
I think Very Merry had a question of this with Yoshi P, and I listened to his video on his interview, and he said basically that Yoshi P was like, maybe it's not that Super Bolide is weak, it's that Hallowed Ground is OP.
And he's
So-
wrong. He's never played his game. if we're
I
talking
mean,
about
Dang.
if we're talking about an invuln that's broken, it's home game. These invulns are better because you can use them more, and they cheese mechanics when you do. If they ever change it to a situation where that's not possible anymore, and there's a specific designated use for these skills, then Hallowed Ground would definitely probably outshine home game. But I'd say because
Well, I
they all
think
have-
Hallowed Ground is preferred by healers, like even though it's on a lower cooldown.
home gang is more preferred.
Literally,
I'll
it's
explain-
literally
I'll explain to you why home gang
damage
is more
for 10
preferred.
seconds. Like I
Well-
understand why it is because you can use it more often.
It's
and you
not
can
even
time it
just that.
around.
It's not even that you can just use it more often, right? It's the fact that unlike Living Dead, you technically don't have to heal up the warrior. So once they get hit, whatever heals you were going to do for like the party or whatever instant that you have would fix them right up. And they actually slightly buffed it because now that equilibrium can be used indiscriminately of whatever stance that you're in,
Yeah.
this means you're literally just pairing equilibrium with home gang. So now you get healed. You can heal yourself on top of the instant that you were going to get from the healer.
I mean,
They literally don't have to touch you, right?
isn't
And then if
Super
you
Bowl
have a
the same way though.
no, because the healer still has to heal you. You can't heal yourself. Well,
But
I
it's
guess they
still-
have if they have
Yeah,
a sub
regen.
region, and they don't have to. If it's free, then sure, right? But the fact still stands. The problem with Super Bowl is that even if we compared it to home gang in that instance, it's still 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder,
So
I wonder
it's-
how that's going to work with XCOG. Like, if you can apply XCOG and then they'll take the, they'll activate the move, then do they,
No,
Yeah.
you have to get hit first.
they have to get hit first?
I
It's-
think so.
It's better than Living Dead, but it's also the worst parts of home gang and the worst parts of Hallowed Ground in one skill. I'm
But
gonna
I
say,
mean, I think
and I don't know why.
I mean, I think you gotta get. I think it automatically takes you to 1 HP, right?
It
Automatic.
does. It drops you to 1.
So, yeah, like the effect of it is like it just takes you to 1 HP and you can't die for 8 seconds.
Mhm.
So you gotta get a heal going on. Obviously, you can
Oh.
pop that regen, and you could probably do the same thing you were talking about with Warrior because there's no reason why you can't heal up
But
during that.
my question is, why? Is it 7 minutes?
Yeah, it could
I
be
mean,
shorter.
you're not impervious to damage, though, right?
Then why does it reduce your HP?
Well, I mean, no, I'm saying because I
Like-
agree with you. I'm saying like if it reduces your HP to 1, does it then mean that you're invuln? Because as far as I knew, you can
Yes,
still take
it
damage.
does.
So a regen would, like, if he puts the self regen, it's what is the potency on the Gunbreaker regen? It's
I'm-
not a lot.
It's not very much.
I'm hoping the what you call it? I lost my train of thought.
But I mean, if they were trying to make it like a worst Hallowed Ground, then they succeeded. So,
But it's also worse than home game.
yeah, but everything's worse than home. So,
Right. But it's the worst parts of them, is what I'm saying. It's better than Living Dead, I guess. Living Dead has some niche situations where it's technically better than Home Gang and Hollow Round, mostly because it has the highest length or potential length. But I mean, that whole having to heal them up is not really good. And if anything, they were probably the tank that should have got an equilibrium, if we're gonna be really honest here. But no, they didn't get that.
I mean, it is what it is. Like,
I'm just curious.
It's an invuln. You don't need to get healed for like, let's say 6 seconds, because you're gonna want to get something on them within a GCD before it goes off.
Even
You know,
still,
if you don't have an instant
here,
to
let's
go on like XCOG or something.
let's talk about that new skill Gunbreaker got, the 90-second one that increases your reduces your damage taken by 10% and gives you like a 50% parry rate.
Camouflage. Yeah, I was just
Camouflage.
talking about that with a Twitch viewer right now. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So it goes hand in hand with the point I'm trying to narrow home down with Super Bowl, right? The skill just feels like it took the worst parts of something that the other tanks had and put it together for the sake of being different. It is 50% parry rate. Why does that matter? It's on a 90-second cooldown. If it were a 60-second cooldown, I'd leave it alone, right? But on a 90-second cooldown, that's the beginning of what you start using for busters, right?
Oh, I'd never use that for a buster.
You cannot parry magic.
You wouldn't want to use it for a buster.
No,
it's more
right?
like auto attack.
But why? Right? But at the same time, it shares a cooldown with Rampart. It reduces your damage taken by 10%.
Wait, really?
Well, it's not on. No, it's not like it shares the same cooldown in that if you use this, you can't use Rampart.
Jesus
No.
Christ! Don't fucking
How long? What's the duration on it again? 20, 15?
Oh,
Hold on, let me pull up the tooltip for it right now.
yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, it's meant to be used on auto attacks and like over damage over time.
Why is that on a 90-second cooldown though? Is my question. Why?
A lot of cooldowns are on 90-second cooldown though.
I mean, isn't there another one? I mean, you can pair it with Aurora. Obviously, I would do that, but because isn't Aurora like a shorter cooldown than that?
Aurora is a 60-second cooldown. It's the grants healing over time. It's the regen.
Yeah. Yeah, I would pair the increased parry and the 10% reduction with the regen. That's what I would do.
The regen is, I believe, 800 potency total, so it's actually pretty solid.
That's not bad.
I mean, over the duration, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but still, camouflage being a 90-second cooldown, it just feels like if we compared it to the current raw intuition, a worse version of that. Like parry 50%. Why is parry still something we're increasing here?
I don't know. They got to do it somewhere, I guess.
It's just different to be different.
I see that move getting changed though, because everybody's been talking about that. Same with Super Bowl Light, I guess that's how you say it. But
like
yeah,
at the very least, if I felt the situations it was so niche for the skill, for the difference to matter, then I'd let it go. Like for example, a lot of people have been giving Dark Knight a lot of crap for Dark Missionary just being a flat worse version of Heart of Light because it only reduces magic. But most AoEs are magic anyway, so it's like, okay. At the end of the day, though, you could still use it for a buster because it's a 90-second cooldown and it's short, right? And we don't hold cooldowns for shit. We try and use as many of these uses of a cooldown in a fight as possible. So we're gonna use these AoEs as single target mitigation if it means like I can see another use of it for something better later on. But I'll let that go because at the end of the day, most AoEs are magic. But why are we still playing with parry? What is this still doing here? That's
personally, I think like it's just there because it's more or less it's on the tank to learn how to use this rotation to optimize how to minimize your damage. Like, yeah, you got stronger cooldowns and you got weaker as well.
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to parry your weaker cooldowns so that you can use your stronger cooldowns when you're taking more severe damage. You know, it's just, and each tank has a different type of cooldown, which is fine. So it just plays into the skill of the tank, really. So
I genuinely just think this skill is different for the sake of being different and not because it's beneficial to Gunbreaker's skill. I'm gonna say that right now. And I think the same thing about Super Bowl Eye. They're on a trend to make the invuln skills different from the last, and that's fine. I'm completely fine with that. But this skill is different from Hollowed Ground and worse than it and worse than Home Gang because it needed to be different. Not because
I think if they
it's
just
balanced
changed
around Gunbreaker skin.
the cooldown on it,
If it were 5 minutes, yeah.
it would be fine.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. It'd be fine at 5 minutes. But reducing your HP to 1 renders you impervious to most attacks. Why is that there? If on a 7-minute cooldown. Why?
But yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the general response of what people have been saying anyways, right? So it's just kind of, it's kind of like we were saying earlier, you know, it's obviously they're going to make some changes. If we see something that's not working out right, then obviously they're going to get that feedback and they're going to change it.
Like, for sure. I'm not here to like instigate more of the sky is falling discussion. I'm simply digesting what we were given.
Yeah.
And giving my take on it. I'm not saying Square Enix change this now before the game comes out or it'll be too late because they probably changed it like a couple months ago. So it's
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am. But as I'm reading these skills as they're given to me, some of these just seem weak for one reason or another. That's the best way I can say it.
So I will say before we transition over to Jin and Melee, is that
Oh boy.
you know, if they're trying to make every tank main tank capable and off tank capable, right now Gunbreaker fits in the off tank role better than it would in a main tank role. That's kind of been like the overall impressions from the internet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Warrior still seems to be the best main tank.
It is the best main tank.
So Jin, when all this stuff kind of came out, and you were reading through all your, you're the melee guy. You went through Dragoon, you went through Ninja, you went through Monk, and you went through Samurai. Got a little heated, just a little bit. But then we splashed some water on you, and you were good. No, I'm just kidding. But recently you've kind of had a revelation, and things have kind of changed for you a little bit. Why don't you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, no, the melee stance is just that it was I went through Kubler's stages of grief and I've just passed on into acceptance in a nutshell. Okay, the way it feels like in smaller words, Dragoon, Samurai, and Monk have been completely dumbed down to the level of people who don't even play this job that well. And Ninja just got more. Like the majority of Ninja, all of its kit has to seem to have an interaction with each other. We got this whole thing with Meisui with the whole Suiton because you don't always trick attack, but you will use that one excess Suiton that's floating around for extra Ninki. It's going to increase your DPS because of it.
Are there situations where you would not trick attack? Like you'd leave it on cooldown?
No, that's the thing.
Okay. I was
For,
going to
like-
say.
Well,
it-
I mean, if the boss is about to jump, you're not going to use trick.
It was
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like
It was the
start-
whole situation with like when you use TCJ or Tenchi Jin, and sometimes you say no, Doton is better. No, Raiton is better. Well, now you're gonna do that Raiton, and you're gonna do that Suiton, so you can actually like, well, I'm not doing the Doton, but I'm gonna get this Suiton, and I'm gonna use my Meisui so I can get this extra Ninki, so I can convert it into something else, and do more damage.
I get.
Yeah.
I sort of get where are you going with this? I'm a little confused.
You're a little confused.
Like, what does this mean? Does this mean Ninja's more complex than the other three?
No. There's just more depth to Ninja, and that's a good thing for the more challenging player. That's a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is there's more interactions with its kit, like all around buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is Monk and Samurai and Dragoon are just stuck in this place where like Dragoon, it's gonna stay the same. It's basically the same with more quality of life changes, with less buttons, more potencies, more buttons to press, and you got the whole Star Diver thing. It's really awesome. Samurai, the whole thing that had with Hagakure being removed now, which was like the main thing with like giving you more Tenki so you could spam more Shinten and then do the things you want to do, just do more damage. It just got removed and it just became a Midari dummy now. It's the Unga Booga class of the melee. We're not gonna discuss that.
I mean, isn't
What
it
is
almost the
Oonga
same?
Boonga?
I mean, Black Mage is a fire for Unga Bunga.
Yeah. Unga Bunga is, and it's the most. It is the easiest class
Yeah.
to play.
I thought that's when you
Oh.
got naked in your living room and you ran
That
at each
is-
other with mattresses.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. Dragoon kind of seems the same. It's
Okay.
still rocking that one way
Yeah,
rotation.
Yeah,
so,
it's still streamlined.
uh,
I always
Monk-
thought Dragoon was easier than any of the other melee, but that's
at a
just me.
casual level, yes.
Yes.
But at an advanced level, there's some intricacies with Dragoon. Eye timings. and
I mean, I like that they give the Dragoon the opponent. They give him more AoE rotations, and they basically made like
they did that
that's
for
another.
all of them.
Yeah,
all
that
of them
too.
got genuine combos now.
And they
except
got
They had 'em.
yeah, and they
That
got an
final
increase on
chorus.
final chorus.
That AoE.
I don't know,
Started.
but it looked really cool in the job trailer thing.
Oh yeah. And then you have
It is. It is an AoE.
and this is where I've already bitched about it enough, and I think it's Monk. And Monk is just there've been so many memes about it. It's really funny. And it's like they took away all the things that made Monk like spin around its own OGCDs to endure more potencies, and it just like gave us this thing called.
All right, I'm gonna
Six-sided
like
star.
shut down every monk in existence right now when it comes to them removing those AoEs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, go ahead.
Removing, I could understand you, I guess, being disappointed that
Huh.
they removed Howling Fist, but you're not about to cry to me that they removed fucking Steel Peak. That was just a one
no,
isolated
no.
button that did absolutely.
Yeah. Steel Peak had a really weird interaction with the entirety of
And-
the class. Yeah.
And my question is, yes, they removed all of these off-global cooldowns, but did you receive buttons that are more intricate to your rotation?
4-point Fury. Yes, that's a good one. I like that one. It's an AoE that increases your twin snake.
Mm-hmm.
The
What
thing
about
is-
everything else?
The thing, right? Okay, we also got a Notman, and which is also kind of a controversy because we don't know if it says you cannot use this to gain your stacks out of combat, and we don't know, or we don't even know if it's been tested yet that if you can actually use a Notman after Tornado Kick to get your stacks back, or if you just need one stack of Grease Lightning.
So
To be-
I watched
and,
a Drac video this morning, and I think they did
Yeah.
they did a Notmon when he had 0 stacks, and it did
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was he out of combat though?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
I
But
mean,
I think you have to have
would-
a stack to generate stacks.
Yeah, I
think
thought that
that's
too.
The thing.
how would you use Tornado Kick if you weren't in combat? Right?
I
You're asking if you could use a Notmon after Tornado Kick to generate.
I mean, I've been over this with people on the balance, which is really toxic right now, by the way.
When
I try
is
to
it?
tell them.
How so? Tell us.
Okay, so this is whole controversy with like six-sided star. The six-sided star is a 400 potency, which basically, if you cast it, you get like 5 seconds of downtime with your GCDs. I mean, it's going to be lower with Grease Lightning 4, but there's still like 3 to 4 seconds you're not doing anything. And the thing is, in the time you're not doing anything, we could have been using this with our OGCDs, with Elixir Field, Howling Fist,
You mean
uh,
six-sided star?
six-sided star, yeah.
I'm reading it. It has like a recast of 4.88 seconds.
Yeah,
That's like
it's 4.88, but with Grease Lightning 4, it's going to be decreased. It's a GCD.
so it does it decrease to like 2.5, like around the base area.
It's going to be like 3 seconds and something. It's not going to be 2.
Holy shit, that's still
Yeah.
pretty long.
That's
yeah.
still really long. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm over here like a Monk main and being like the guy who can fucking move or perceive time different than other people. No, not really. But
It's really
It's like-
strong though. I'm gonna say that
re-
right now.
it's really strong. The thing is, we don't have anything to do except for Elixir Field and the possibility of getting a Forbidden Chakra, which you're going to be using that on cooldown.
How do you get your 4th stack of Grease Lightning? How was that thing?
You switch to Fist of Wind.
And what happens with Fist of Wind?
In Fist of Wind, you become faster. You're essentially much faster when you get that Grease Lightning 4.
Yeah. It edges out
It-
because
Yeah.
the damage of the 4 stack is basically the damage you get from Fists of
Fist
Fire,
Yeah.
but you're faster with Fists of Wind.
I do like the interaction they did with the change they did with like the riddles. So now you can be in any fist stance and do the riddles, and it's still like it doesn't matter. The only thing that's gonna be fucky is when you change your fist stance and your riddle's completely gone. That's
can't-
kind of
Where's Riddle of Wind? Where's that at?
it's gone.
There's got rid of it.
Wait, so which ability starts Grease Lightning for? Fist of Wind? I'm reading it and it just says increased movement speed.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fists of Winds.
Fist of Wind is a trait.
The
It's a trait that
Grease
gives you
Lightning
increased lightning
stacks
4.
themselves give you a skill speed increase.
Yeah.
I know. Which one unlocks the fourth one though? Or do they just get 4 now and they can just get
No.
You
You
have
got
It's a trait.
Yeah, you
Oh,
change-
it's a trait.
Yeah, it's a trait.
Okay, that's not here then. All right.
Yeah.
I was looking for intensely.
Yeah. You're gonna go change it to Fist of Wind. You get the Grease Lightning 4, and it's going to basically be like, oh no, but what if I got Fist of Fire? That's 10%. Doesn't matter. The Grease Lightning 4 is going to give you that 10%, and you become faster. Which is basically gonna be it's gonna be like now I can be in Fist of Wind, be faster, pop Riddle of Fire, so I won't be as slow as I was back in Stormblood with Riddle of Fire.
Mhm.
The thing is, so there's this whole thing like, oh, I want to be doing this with rotating with. I'm not gonna go into like the schematics of like how the class is supposed to be working, but the 6-sided star thing is that it would be good to use that ability if we had the OGCDs to complement it. We don't have enough, so it feels weird, and it could be potentially a DPS
You don't
loss.
think if you combo it with Brotherhood that you won't get like tons of chakra?
Well, you're supposed to be doing Riddle of Fire and Brotherhood on cooldown. So, an example of that would be to do your combo and you're going into like the last seconds of your Riddle of Fire, and then you do Twin Snakes, 6-sided star, ideally Elixir Field. You wait for it, you have to wait for a little bit, and then if you do have it, a Forbidden Chakra. And
Does
then
Riddle
Tornado
of
Kick.
Fire still slow you down?
It still slows you down.
So if you use Riddle of Fire with this other one, you're just getting an even slower
Yeah, that's a problem.
global cooldown.
Dang.
Unless you change your fists.
This skill is probably not meant to be used that way. That's my only guess.
No, people are saying that the 6-sided star is going to be used for downtime situations. It's going to be used to.
This looks like
So it's the new Tornado Kick, is what you're saying.
And that's the problem. We don't know what the fuck to do with Tornado Kick now. The interactions we have with Wind Tackle, the interactions that had the perfect balance, which, by the way, got increased by its double time.
so you don't. So the problem here is you guys just don't know what the fuck your job does.
We don't know what our job is. It's just been dumbed down. We don't know how to interact with 6.
Well, you can't complain if it's been dumbed down if you don't know what it does.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. But
I mean, I'm not trying to come at
Galaxy
Monk, right?
Brain dumbed down.
I
Welcome, Toasty.
I literally do not know anything about Monk enough to even challenge the
Yeah.
authority of the Balance Monk overlords. But if
Yeah.
what I'm hearing here is that you guys are upset that it's been dumbed down, but you don't even know how it's supposed to work, right? Why not just wait till it releases?
That's
you
my
may-
take on.
That something may appear.
Yeah, that's what I'm going off by now. It's like, okay, I'm just going to accept, and if it doesn't happen, I'm just going to find a way to. I'm going to be the
mean-
guy who's going to find a way. That's what we
Maybe
do.
Monk wasn't actually finished when they
yeah,
that build.
that's true.
so
That's true.
Or maybe this 6-sided star thing, the recast might be a typo.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Some wonky ideas going on in there. It's kind of weird.
It'd be
So-
very weird for a level 80
But
skill.
the idea, but before I go on, we go on again, it's just the idea is that when they interviewed Yoshi P about this, they said they wanted to decrease the disparity level of like the casual player who plays Monk and the high skill player. They basically heightened the floor and they lowered the ceiling.
They've done that for every single job.
That's true.
Yeah, they've
yes.
been doing that this whole past expansion.
Even in
It's not-
Stormblood, they were doing that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they give us a thing in 4.2 where I guess the devs didn't foresee the tornado kick thing being like the niche for Monk in Stormblood. and they take it away. It's just been a very short amount of time, and we don't know what to do with it. It just comes off as it comes off. I'm not saying this is what it is, that the development team doesn't know what to do with Monk either. And when it basically means it feels like they're gonna take away everything to decrease the ceiling. And
removing Steel Peak didn't make Monk any harder.
Oh no. Steel Peak.
I'm gonna say that fucking right.
Yeah.
Removing Howling Fist didn't make the job any difficult or easier because it lined up with internal release, and if there were more things to hit, you used it there. Otherwise, you used it on cooldown, right? You can't say that'd be like me on Red Mage saying Red Mage got dumbed down because they took away Flashe and Contra 6-Tag, which are just 2 free off global cooldowns that I throw out on cooldown so that they do the most damage possible. I don't even have to hold them, right?
Yeah.
And same thing for Monk. They're 60 seconds. They're like in that sweet spot. You don't have to hold them for shit. At least with Dragoon, with Dragon Fire Dive, it's 120 seconds, and that means you only sit every 2 minutes. So there's some times where you're like, maybe I want to use this here, maybe I want to use it there. It's also a positioning skill. Yeah. There's some thought involved in that skill. So if they were
going to come down to fight design.
Yeah, especially with fight design. But that's not true with Steel Peak and Howling Fist and whatever free OGCD they got rid of. So I'm going to nip that one in the bud and say the loss of OGCDs is not that big a deal. Calm down.
Yeah.
You got the tism?
Agreed.
Y'all got the tism.
But I guess you could I guess you could make the argument for, like clicks per minute, I guess, but at the same time it's not that big a deal. So
it really isn't.
No.
But I mean, take it how you will. I'm not qualified to talk about it, so
it's just
me neither.
The only reason I worry about the lack of OGCDs is that we don't know what to do with Six-Sided Star at current. If they change it, if they make it better,
let it release first.
Let it release first.
You guys haven't even gotten to a striking dummy, and you're like, Yoshi P, what the fuck did you do to our job? And you haven't even played it yet.
Yeah.
Like, do you just hear how ridiculous that sounds?
Is Fist of Earth still there?
It is. There. It's buffed to 10%.
Oh, that's another thing. That's another thing I want to discuss before we go on. We have 6 ways to never lose Grease Lightning now.
Okay, don't lose it.
I never had a problem with it.
Then move on,
boy.
I never had a problem. Jesus Christ.
Now you can't drop it.
Now you have even less.
I never dropped it.
Then don't.
Yeah, he's good at Monk.
So you're wait. Are you gonna say you're mad because now the casuals have more ways not to lose it, unlike before?
No, I feel like the casuals are the reason why this is even happening, and it's like they're the ones who actually don't know how to keep up their stacks. It's like, what? It's not hard. Just fucking. I'm not gonna go being toxic, man.
They've been dumbing down every job.
I know.
If we wanted to talk about the dumbing down jobs specifically, again, we don't know fight design, so maybe you might need to use all of them when the boss is fucking off every 20 seconds. Who knows?
If only.
Hey man, I'm okay with these monk changes because I'm a casual monk. Let's go.
Well,
tell him. Now I can feel good. You hear that, Tiffany Liz? I'm coming for you. I don't even know half my skills. I'm kidding.
But no, I'm gonna wait for what's gonna happen, and I only want to be able to enjoy my job. I'm gonna find a way to enjoy my job regardless of the thing. That's just the way life is. Sometimes you take things as they come, and you just find a way to enjoy it. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that out of all the classes that got something like a quality of life, a more openness to like more in-depth and complexity, it's going to be Ninja. Downright, it's going to be Ninja.
Here's the real question. Like, do you think that the devs aren't thinking about ways to like min-max at peak level, like your job? Because you're going to go into these savage fights. You're going to go into these ultimate fights. and you're gonna take this toolkit and you're gonna min max it. You're gonna tweak it, and you really think when you tweak it, it's not gonna be as what's the word I'm looking for? It's not gonna be as in depth as it was before, or is it gonna be easier to min max it? You know, is that the vibe you're getting, or is that
wait and see, I guess. I got that vibe, but I'm just gonna have to wait and see.
I think
to give
we
a more
have.
concise answer.
I think we have a surplus of people coming from other MMOs because their MMOs are not. You know, this is the hot new thing right now. Shadowbringers, right? We're moving away from the weeb shit, and we're doing something a little more traditional. No, I didn't mean that in an offensive way, but I did.
I am offended.
Are we ever really moving away from the weeb shit on Final Fantasy XIV?
No, of course not. But they don't know that.
This is the Japanese game that happens to be played around the world. So
So, and you know, I think they are keeping those players in mind as well as keeping players like us who've been playing this for a really long time. You know, they want to make something that also kind of caters to the other MMOs, as well as giving us something advanced to play with. And I think going back to the healer thing, you know, I'm not really sure why everybody's freaking out, because with the way that healers are set up now, you can make for some really interesting fights. That would be, you know, it'd be good. It'd be good to. I'm excited to jump in and figure out like how best to play Scholar, and I'm not really seeing these potencies as like, you know, they're gutting my job or anything like that. But
I think the biggest crime I've seen is that Combust 3 is literally exactly the same, except it costs different MP.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that's
A typo?
changed.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that maybe because there's a couple things that were a little bit off in the demos that they were playing, like certain potencies seemed a little sketchy. So I'm thinking maybe they were playing like an older build. At least I'm
possible.
hoping that's the case. But yeah, I think people have made enough think about that they'll change it by the time Shadowbringers gets here. And if not, then fuck you.
I mean, hey, Machinist's Dot from Flamethrower did a good ass 6 on release.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
we got about 8 minutes left, and I wanted to, because we got Toasty, our resident Astro, and we got Popo here. By the way, Popo's our FC leader, babe. And
One of. I will get so destroyed if you say I'm one of.
I apologize.
Fearless
One
leader.
of the FC.
He's taking your job, Doogie.
All the FC
I
leaders
know,
are amazing, by the way.
You'll kill me.
All the FC leaders are amazing. We love you all. So Toasty found this post. I'm gonna read it to you, Popo. Okay.
Okay.
I hate these new cards. I didn't show balanced favoritism. I gave Ur to myself or the second healer. Hell, sometimes I would redraw balance for a possible Ur if
I'm
our
leaving.
second healer.
Oh.
The comments are the worst. Just listen.
If our second healer lost over half their MP, I used Bull on tanks when I knew a tank buster was coming. I gave Spear to bards and monks because I felt they needed it most to do their job.
Oh my god, shut up.
I gave Arrow to black mages and red mages.
That's not that bad.
Just wait.
Spire was an automatic lady or Lord of Crowns. Every card felt valuable to me. Now every card is a 3 to 6% damage up depending on the class you give it to. Lord and Lady do the same thing. Even Divination does the same thing?
I'm loving this voice, first of all.
Are you kidding me?
Ew.
This is boring. I like to ask because it had the buffs of a FF11 Bard with healing.
Oh my god.
It was exciting
shoot.
wondering what buff I was going to provide next for a specific
Don't
class
kill.
and their specific nerds.
Somebody
Now
needs
it-
to fucking curb stop that guy.
Now it's just damage up, damage up, damage up, and no royal road to increase their potency or duration. This is such a stupid, boring, dumbed down, brain dead change. This is the biggest nerf for a job class character I've ever seen in any game.
Great.
Go play FF11. That's all I have to say.
Now, here's the best part about this post. The 4 comments below it. This, in all capital letters. Then another guy
yeah.
below that. This. Everything you described is accurate, which is extremely upsetting because it's my main job. I guess I'm going scholar this expansion. Then the one below that. 100% this. Unfortunately, they decided that simplicity at any cost is the best path to go down. It worked out great for WoW after all.
Which YouTube video is this? Just curious.
It's the Astro video
From
Mr.
what?
Happy.
Or for Mr. Happy.
I see.
Ugh.
Oh,
I mean-
okay. You finish, or is there more?
No, that's it. I'm done. I can read you some
Okay.
scholar ones too if you want.
You know
Oh.
what? That would might. I was about to kill myself, but not today. Go ahead.
Oh man.
Not today.
Oh man.
Our static scholar is changing his main now. Wonder why.
All I'm gonna say is like this comes down to a default question. Do you trust the devs to give you a good experience? Like no matter what they do to the job, do you trust the devs to make the game in such a way that whatever abilities they give your job, that it's gonna be a fun experience to? And if not, I mean, I guess there's 16 other jobs you could go play.
In all honesty, my true belief is that people are fucking sheep, and it like everybody said Machinist was god awful in Heaven's Word. I know plenty of people who stuck with Machinist the whole time, and by the end, Machinist was a fun class.
I
They
mean,
eventually
it played
did
like
it,
shit, and it was dick for most of it.
Nobody gave it a chance though. Nobody gave it a chance except
Yeah.
for like the hardcore machinist mains. They just
Right.
like,
I'll
oh,
agree.
this class is total shit. I'm never gonna touch it. But it was fun toward the end. And so my personal opinion, people are looking at classes and looking at comments and all these things that are coming out, and they're seeing all the negativity and they're just going along with it instead of forming their own opinions.
True, I agree with that 100%. The thing about
Right.
Machinist though is that it's not been handled very well by Square Enix, right? Like Scholar and Astro, well, specifically Scholar, has been handled very well since it came into the game. So people that are like end of the world for Scholar are ridiculous because it's consistently been good. Wait till you see it, right? But Machinist is a tad bit different. When it came out in Heaven's Ward, it was trash, right? You could literally drop ammo. It was on a timer. I don't even fucking know why, but you could. There was no reason.
I don't
It did.
remember that.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was.
that.
Your DPS wasn't that much better than Bard's. It was still really to play either one of them. Range DPS were actually pretty crap at the earlier phases of Heaven's War before they got buffed to becoming God tier, right? And even then, people had already had their sets of opinions, but double range was a household name by that point. So while some people felt Machinists didn't play well, it was definitely respected to the point where Black Mage and Summoner and Monk were like hiding in the corner since they couldn't get into groups anywhere. Then came Storm's Blood, and they fucked up Machinist's implementation again. This means Machinist has gone, since it's been implemented, has had terrible implementations since it started. The job just has an inherent negative stigma to it. And like, in order to fix it at this point, it just needs to be really fucking good. Like, it does. You can't just release a job and it be so bad. And then, like, in Stormblood's case, they left it that way for the entire expansion. They did barely anything to fix the issues that people had with it until now. And aside from the aesthetical changes, which look amazing, we don't know. But if it sucks, this might be it. You can't mess that up 3 times. First impressions mean everything. Second impressions, those don't even exist. Third impressions are for life.
I'm with Jabe. Like, if I didn't like this game, I wouldn't play it. So I'm gonna trust that they're gonna fix it.
You cut out.
I'm gonna. Sorry. I'm gonna trust that they're gonna fix it.
I mean, there's this one post saying Machinist is very punishing, but they didn't say that it was. I mean, again, they haven't even played it. So.
Well, we've hit our hour mark, friends. So, any closing thoughts? Anybody needs to get off their chest?
Just shut up and wait. Done. Let's play it first. See then if the sky is still falling, I guess. Go ahead.
We'll all go play Warcraft.
Take a chill pill. Hey, the guy who wanted to play FF11 Bard, you got a month until Shadowbringers comes out to go play FF11. Go do that, friend. And then tell us how bad it is when Shadowbringers comes out. How about that?
Yeah. And for the person that used cards incorrectly but proudly, stop. Unsub. Bye.
That was the same person. Yeah.
Hey, Bartmates, piercing is gone.
bad.
You're not the center of attention anymore.
I'm sorry. When they were redrawing balances for viewers, I checked out. I didn't hear the rest of that.
They did say that, didn't they? Man, my MP's getting low. Oh shoot, lucid dreaming, son. Cool.
Oh,
So
no,
glad
the
I've got
under half.
got an Astro in the group. Ugh, MP's okay.
I'm over here chugging MP potions because I can't manage my MP.
The monk is at 70% TP and not full. Let me redraw this balance for Aspire.
Yeah.
Oh, I drew a bull. Here,
I
tank,
wish-
take it. It's dangerous to go alone.
I just single target quick.
We're not
Can you give me a
toxic.
Spire?
I'd rather be playing Dancer right now.
Ugh.
I mean,
You talk about Dancer.
I'm not gonna say I'm not toxic, but I mean, come on, that's complete dope, right? You're not gonna sit here and get mad at somebody for changing something when you weren't even doing it right in the first place. Like what?
I mean,
There
but
you
to
go.
them, they were doing it right?
They were wrong.
They were in the dungeons, right? They're dungeon crawling, and they're over here doing the 24-mans, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's a bowl. I'ma spread it." AOE bowl. Let's go.
Yeah, go spam Blizzard 3 because it's got a higher number. All right, go.
Yeah, right.
Don't use fire. Blizzard 3's got
Oh,
a higher.
man.
Actually, spam Blizzard 4. It's got a higher number than Blizzard 3. There you go. You playing a game? You playing a game right? There you go.
So I was in Bardam's Mantle
Metal.
before you guys started doing the show, and this Black Mage had an AoE rotation of Blizzard 3 into Blizzard 4 into Flare.
Perfect.
Wait, what?
That's a
Did he
nice-
switch first? Any fire twos?
Nope. None.
Nice mage.
And then we got to the first boss. I was like, you should just do like 4 fire 4s and then a fire 1, right? He's like, I know. And then he goes back to Blizzard 3 Flare on the boss.
I'm practicing my Shadowbringers rotation.
I
I'd
had a
use
scholar today, and it was like Temple of Karn or something. And they had all their classes, like they bought them all to 60. And I was getting solo healed with Sucker the entire time. As in, like, the only ability that they ever used when I took damage was Sucker.
Oh.
And I was like, you have a fairy and other things you could do. And they're like, no protect or anything. I said, like, you can get protect as well, right? They're like, yeah, I know where that is. And I was like, okay, are you gonna use it? Sucker. That's it. Sucker. Whole time.
This is practice for Shadowbringers.
Exactly.
Man mode.
Why have protect when you can have galvanize?
As hilarious as all that is, nothing beats the tank that popped raw intuition before he pulled all the mobs. And as he proceeded to run down As he proceeded to run down the hallway, he got crit over and over and over again. He didn't parry a damn thing.
Oh,
Yeah. All right,
He
we're
died,
getting really
too.
toxic. We're getting toxic now. I think we should end the show.
Read your
sorry.
skills,
Ugh,
please.
It's been so bad leveling this late in the expansion. It's just tisms everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna like shun somebody who's ignorant and wants to learn, right? But if you're gonna sit there and just be bad and
They're like, I know. Yeah.
okay,
Those ones.
I can't help but I can't help you if you're dumb, but I can sure laugh at you.
exactly. Now, as you proceed down the hallway, getting your ass crit, I will sit back and decide whether or not this ED is worth it.
What's wrong with this game? I think there's something wrong with the server.
I was half the mind to just like let the samurai take it. I was like, he can do it. He's got third eye. Let's try this shit. Try and pull an enhanced bow. Oh my god, that guy's right. An enhanced bow that would have worked.
Mm-hmm.
It would work. Actually, that samurai might have done it.
Did you get it? Did you royal road the balance so you could pull a
No, I
enhanced
put
bow?
out a balance because I'm not a fucking Neanderthal.
No, man, you gotta get the enhanced bow.
You get hands bull.
The samurai might have been able to take it though with that balance. I mean the bowl.
Yeah.
So, quick public service announcement. I am currently working on converting my old. I had a Discord that was specifically for pugging, back in AlphaScape. It's currently not being used, and I'm going to convert that into the podcast Discord so that we can, put out messages and let people know when we're going to be online for Twitch. It's also going to be there. So we can bring people like Popo on, guests, and it's, I want to do an open forum thing, and so we can all talk and share ideas.
Sounds good.
We love to hear from you.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And the only thing that I request is, no harassment, no threatening anybody. Okay,
Yeah.
Everybody has opinions. You can disagree. That's fine. No problem.
Damn it.
Yeah, just don't threaten to come to my house, kill my mom or something.
Damn.
Oh shit.
Wait, has this happened before?
No.
Before.
So anyway, I want to thank my co-host Tosi, Jabe, Sora, Jin, and thank you so much
Hi.
for coming on, Popo. It was really great to have you on,
Thanks for letting me be here. I'm your biggest fan.
and we really like the FC. It's been great. That's Mana Network on Gilgamesh, everybody.
Sorry I haven't been around. I've been leveling an alt on Balmung.
Okay,
The
The best server ever?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's originally where my main's from, is Balmung. I have an
Is
alt
it?
there now.
is it
Yeah.
still like popping over there, or is it like way smaller now?
It's still congested. Yep.
Yeah.
How did I know?
All right, everybody. This has been a Misfortunate podcast. We'll be posting this to YouTube soon. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a good evening.
Bye bye.